I've had the Bigscreen Beyond Micro OLED VR headset for over a year now, with my first video going live on the 13th of February. So I think I'm in a good position to let you know how things have been getting on. And in this video, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, possibly even the ugly, and my conclusions at the end. So just to say, a quick word from FS Academy. They've got a new range of mission packs available called Zero to Hero, and in fact you get 40% discount with 60 training missions from a real-world airline captain. Now these tutorials really feel like the pilot is right there beside you, and they work in VR as well. All the links for FS Academy will be in the description below. Go check them out. So the Bigscreen Beyond, if you're not aware and you've been under a rock for the past year, is the smallest VR headset on the market today, and it also boasts some very impressive specs. For example, the 2560 by 2560 display has a micro OLED screen. That means you get perfect blacks and beautiful deep rich colours. Also, because it's micro OLED, the form factor is of course incredibly light. And honestly, it sinks to your face so well that sometimes you kind of forget you've got it on your head when you're doing, say, a 2 or 3 hour session, which is perfectly feasible in this headset. Which brings me to the Bigscreen Beyond's party piece, or raison d'etre. Every headset is scanned to your face, which means that every facial interface will be molded to your face shape. Also, you don't change the IPD on the headset, it is fixed to each device. So make sure that if you do decide to purchase a Bigscreen Beyond, that you let them know your exact IPD. Mine, by the way, if you're wondering, is 65, and it works absolutely fantastic, and I'm in the sweet spot every single time I put the headset on. You have two different refresh rates, 75Hz and 90Hz. However, 90Hz is upscaled and you do lose a bit of quality. It's not a massive difference, but let me tell you, for flight simulation and for looking at cockpit gauges, specifically when, flying an airliner like the Just Flight 146 for example, you definitely do notice. And honestly, I've had this question asked so many times. 75Hz is actually totally fine, and it actually feels like 90Hz. The great thing also about 75Hz is that it gives your GPU a bit more breathing space, and you can lock to half the refresh rate, which means again you can up those settings. Now in terms of the optics, you have a tri-element pancake lens, which is stacked basically to give you that really sharp image. Because you have to consider that these lenses are incredibly tiny, so the magnification needs to be incredibly strong to give you a decent field of view. And I've measured around 100 degrees or slightly less, which is pretty damn good. Now in terms of the pixels per degree, which is a hot topic at the moment, it is around 32 pixels per degree. However, you can super sample this headset, especially if you have a decent GPU. The great thing also about pancake lenses is it needs less geometric distortion correction, which means there's less resolution going to waste. So you're closer to that 2560 by 2560 resolution. So when you do upscale, it looks absolutely phenomenal and you get pretty decent results. Now in terms of the sharpness, this is absolutely as sharp as the Pimax Crystal when super sampled. At its native resolution, it's not quite as sharp, but it still looks really nice. Now of course, because of the form factor, we don't get eye tracking and any of the sensors don't get passed through. It's unapologetically a micro OLED high-end PC VR headset, and that's your lot. And to be honest, I love the Bigscreen Beyond all the more for it. And before we get into the things I don't like, I will just reiterate again that the micro OLED display is phenomenal. And I really hope that one day micro OLED will become more of a norm for VR headsets. For example, flying in a sunset scene is just almost a spiritual experience. I have said this in a few videos. It just takes you somewhere else, and because your facial interface is molded to your face, it means that there's no light leakage and all of the light from the display is hitting your eyes and not going to waste. However, this headset is far from perfect, and I'm going to go into that right now. And I might as well start with the brightness, because this is something that is new. I've never said this before. In previous videos and with previous VR headsets, I've never really complained about the brightness of the display, because I'm not really a fan of anything bright. Even in the real world, when I'm driving my car and riding my motorcycle, I'm always wearing sunglasses. Even in the depths of winter, you know, if it's a fairly bright day, I've got sunglasses on. So with VR headsets, I'm not really a massive fan of seeing a really bright image. But I've learned something recently, that with the Somnium VR1 you can have a very bright panel but it not be at all uncomfortable, and in fact it really mimics the real world far better. So in the past I need to change something. I've said that the Bigscreen Beyond, the brightness is just fine for me and it hasn't bothered me. But since going back to it, having used the Somnium VR1, it has really surprised me how dim the display is. But keep in mind, I also feel like that with other headsets such as the Vive Aero and the Pimax Crystal. So really, in comparison to everything else, it's not that bad. But in comparison to the VR1, well, every headset I've ever used now looks quite dim. But I just had to mention that. So things unfortunately get a little bit worse now, because I'm now going to talk about the pancake lenses. The sweet spot is unfortunately quite small, and even though it is bigger than say Fresnel based lenses, it's actually probably the worst sweet spot I've experienced in any pancake lens, because obviously I do have the Pico 4 and the Quest 3. Well, nothing compares to that really. It's an incredible optic design. But thankfully, since the headset is so amazingly light, when you do move your head around more, it's not so annoying as it is with other big VR headsets. You have less inertia, less weight moving around on your head. So it becomes quite natural. And as you can see, I thought I'd show you a complex airliner flight once again, simply because you can absolutely use this headset for complex aircraft without any issues. However, things do get a little bit more worse, because I have to mention the glare. Due to that stacked lens design and the high magnification needed, there is a ton of glare. It's like someone has smeared Vaseline on the sort of bottom of the lens. Now I have noticed, depending on the aircraft I'm using, depends on the glare I get. For example, this beautiful airliner here with all of its steam gauges, I don't really notice so much glare. But when I'm using very modern cockpits such as the G3000 layout, you can really see the glare, and it becomes very distracting to the point where it's that bad my eyes start straining. For example, and this is what really kills me, is night flying. The thing is, with a micro OLED VR headset, night flying should be one of the most amazing experiences you can have. And if you look past the glare, it really is incredible. But sadly, there is just far too much glare, and it really spoils the experience. And this is why I actually find that the Bigscreen Beyond is one of the most frustrating headsets I've ever used, because this could have been my absolute daily driver, the perfect VR headset that would beat them all. Even the likes of the Somnium VR1, for goodness sake, because that form factor, together with the custom facial interface and the micro OLED technology, is just an absolute winning combination. And if it didn't have glare, this would be, without question, my favourite VR headset for years to come, even with that slightly smaller field of view. The glare is such a shame, and it's the biggest problem of this headset for me. And even though I hate the glare, I still use the headset on a very regular basis, because there's just nothing like the feeling of the Bigscreen Beyond in the VR industry. It is still an amazing headset, it really is. And I just wish, you know, there was a way of mitigating the god-rays and glare that you really do see, especially in high contrast scenes when looking at cockpits, and especially in a flight simulator, that's something you do quite a lot. And probably for my last whinge about this headset is it does feel quite stuffy around your eyes. Because of the facial interface, it kind of sucks to your skin a little bit and kind of creates a vacuum. So when you take the headset off, you feel a little bit sweaty or a little bit uncomfortable for a few moments. It's not something you kind of are aware of when you're wearing the headset, but when you take it off, you feel like you want to wash your face or something. It's just that kind of sticky feeling. It's not that nice, quite honestly. Now, in terms of the audio, I'm a massive, huge fan of integrated audio, such as the Reverb G2, Index and Pimax Crystal. It's just fantastic, and I am aware that they do have an audio strap. However, I have tried to reach out to Bigscreen Beyond on numerous occasions, but they've gone a bit quiet on me. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm moaning about the headset. I don't know, because overall I do love it, but there are some definite deal breakers here. So I don't know what that's like. So please feel free, if you do have the audio strap, let me know in the comments below what you think of it. So overall, hopefully I've covered most things here. It's very possible I've missed something. So if I have, please do let me know in the comments below any more questions you'd like to know about the Bigscreen Beyond. And in just saying that myself, I've remembered one other thing I don't like about the Bigscreen Beyond. It's only Steam VR. There's no OpenXR runtime. That is such a shame, because I do feel it could excel even more. However, there is no middleman, there's no sort of proprietary software that you have to load up. It's a native Steam VR headset, so it does help in that regard with performance. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that video. I can't believe I've now had the headset for well over a year. That's mind-blowing to me. And I really do overall love the VR headset, and that micro OLED technology keeps me coming back for more, as does the form factor. Thank you so much for watching as always. Please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you all again very soon. Take care, bye for now.